श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य महानिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। First of all, I would like to wish all the listeners a very happy and auspicious Veda Vyasji's Jayanti today, which is also celebrated as Guru Purnima by all the followers of Sanatan Dharma around the world. I invoke the grace and blessings of the entire Guru Parampara on all of us to utilize this human birth to help us grow spiritually or gain a vertical growth. May their blessings be with us to understand and adapt the teachings of our scriptures passed down by our entire Rishi Parampara, generations after generations, so that we can put our efforts towards the ultimate goal of human birth, which is reaching God or Supreme Consciousness. It is blessing of Bhagavan Krishna that while on the occasion of Guru Purnima, during this period, we are actually reflecting on verses given by Bhagavan Krishna on the man of realization, who is actually a guru for all of us. So it's sheer blessings of Bhagavan that we are able to see the qualities of a man of realization and also look forward for adapting what they have taught us, what they have shown us the path to lead a life correctly, not the way we have understood life to be, but the way life is explained by our scriptures. Verse number 56, where we left last time. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukeshu vigataspruhaha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthitadhir muniruchyate. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukeshu vigataspruhaha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthitadhir muniruchyate. We'll read Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji's bhashya also for this verse. Dukkeshu adhyatmikadishu prapteshu na udvignam na prakshubhitam dukkha praptau mano yasya sah ayam anudvigna manaha tatha sukheshu prapteshu vigata spruha trishna yasya na agni iva indhanadhya dhane sukhani anuvivardhate savigata spruha vitaraga bhaya krodho रागः च भयं च क्रोधः च वीता विगता यस्मात् स वीतराग भय क्रोधः स्थितधीहि स्थितप्रज्ञो मुनिः सन्यासी तदा उच्यते. Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna, while talking about the man of realization and the qualities of a man of realization, these qualities which Bhagavan is expounding through these verses, starting from 55 onwards, we must see them in the light and context that they are talking about, or when they describe the man of realization, they are actually talking about one, and they are talking about a context of one who has become firm in the flow of thought or the thought process of Brahmakara, that I am Brahman. And we should see that at this entire, all these verses, what Bhagavan is talking about as the properties of a Sthita Prajna or the properties of a realized master is actually should be seen in the context of the firmness in the Brahmakara Vritti, or firmness in the thought flow in whom it has happened, that I am Brahman. When we see us today, right from the time we wake up in the morning and till the time our dream state ends, from waking state to dream state we go, before we go into the deep sleep state, this thought that I am Jiva, I am body, Jiva, Jivosmi, Dehosmi, these thought processes are continuously at the background, at the substratum of all the other thoughts which arise during the day in us. So at the back of everything which we do, every thought which is come, it is coming at the foundation of what I am so and so, with the name, with the body, with the jiva, with being, and all those things. But in this case, when Bhagavan is talking about a man of realization, the properties of a man of realization, we should see this person as one, and in whom the firmness of I am Brahman and is constantly there. It's not wavering at all. It's a constant thought process. The way we have this constant thought process is at the back end of our, every thought process that comes in between us, that I am so and so. So like for me, I'll say, I am Anish Chaitanya. When I wake up, who woke up? Anish Chaitanya woke up. Who is, doing all the daily duties of himself? Anish Chaitanya is doing his duty. Whose duty? Anish Chaitanya's duty. So, that thought process that I am so and so, which is at the back end what Jiva Aham, that thought process is there. So, this man of realization, when Bhagavan is talking about, is the one in whom Brahma Akara Vritti, the thought process that I am not what I have understood myself to be, I am that supreme consciousness alone. And this thought is not that which comes and goes. The firmness of thought means it's a constant flow of thought. During the waking state, this person and may not even go to the dream state, but all the three states, including the deep sleep state, this thought is very much at the foundation of this man of realization, that I am nothing but the supreme consciousness alone. That is what is called Brahmakara Vritti. So when Bhagwan says is that this kind of a thought process has become firm in this man of realization, we need to understand the two things which Bhagwan mentioned and highlighted. The first and foremost we need to understand, which is the basic core property of this person, or which is the basic quality of this person, is Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. The one who has found his contentment, his reveling is always in the self. One who has found his contentment in the self, by the self, in the self, and which is also mentioned as self-discovered self-satisfaction in the self. The one whose fulfillment who is found in the self, one who has started to revel in the self, whose eternal happiness comes from what? From his own true nature of the self, in whom this has been established well. The one who is fully contented, so to say, and which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji mentioned what? Alam Pratyaya, the one who is equipped with this Alam Pratyaya. Alam Pratyaya means enough. I don't want anything from this entire gamut of the world. Such a person is what Bhagwan calls Sthita Prajna. When a person reaches such a level of fulfillment, at that time what we need to understand is what you call that desires stop to sprout out in such a person. Rather, there is no possibility of desire sprouting out in such a person. Why? Because the desires sprout out. Why? Because we remain unfulfilled. We are not contented. That's why desires sprout out. In such a person, there is no fertile land left within the space of Antakarana office, within the space of inner equipment. There is no place where a desire can sprout out. Meaning what? His Antakarana is the space of his inner equipment of, Man, Buddhi, Chitta and Ahankar, which is ego, mind, ego, intellect and memory, is become like a barren land where no seeds sprout out at all. The seed of desire has no capability to sprout out in such a place. Why? Because I told you, the reason why desire sprout out is because we feel that we are not fulfilled yet. We feel that we are not contented yet. We don't have contentment yet. That is why desire sprout out in us. In such a person who's the man of realization, there is no space left. The space doesn't allow any seeds to sprout out that way. That is why, since his intellectual space has become like that, it is natural that this person's in such a person, desire stop to sprout out. That is what Bhagwan has said in the previous verse. It is a natural thing that prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthag manogatan. When Bhagwan used the word manogatan in the last verse, we need to understand, actually desire is actually the property of mind. Or I would use this word. Desire is actually the dharma of mind. Dharma means the duty of mind, the property of mind. Actually, desire is not the property or not the duty of the self. Self means, when I call about myself, today when we say ourself, it is actually, we call it in a convoluted diagram that it's completely associated with the pair of these four or inner equipments. Man, Buddhi, Chitta and Ahankar, and we identify together and we call ourselves as those equipments. That's why when the mind becomes happy, we say what? I am happy. Actually, the mind is happy, not me. So here, the thing we need to understand is, desire is actually not the property of the self. Desire is actually the property of the mind. Since desire is the property of the mind, giving up is definitely possible, and it is definitely natural for a person who has found his fulfillment or contentment in the self. The one who has firmly placed oneself in the self, who has become firm in the thought process that I am that supreme consciousness alone, which Sanskrit says Atmanishtha. For such a person, mind is only a seen object. It's only a drishya. It's only a seen object. Because this person has separated himself from the mind, he is asanga from mind, he is not attached to the mind any longer. That's why this man of realization and this knowledgeable man, this Vidwan, and actually he never identifies himself with the duties or properties of the mind. There is one point also we can see, another aspect we can see this is, this person stops cooperating with the mind and for running after the things which mind runs after. So, mind is the one which runs after things and objects for seeking happiness, because mind and doesn't understand that happiness doesn't come from the objects or situation. Now this person, a man of realization, this person means the man of realization, stops cooperating with the mind in its run for things and objects and situations, because he has got a he got firmly placed in the self, which is his true self. Such a Jnani Mahatma, such a saint, such a man of realization doesn't cooperate with any desire which sprouts out in the mind. When he stops cooperating with the mind or stops cooperating with any desire that sprouts out in the mind, in such a state, the desires automatically starts to get given up. The desires automatically starts to go away from such a person. In reality, actually, desires arise only because intellect and mind wants to give happiness to the self. Since a man of realization has found the happiness of the self and has understood well that the entire world's happiness source is actually the self alone, and since he has got attached to the bliss of the self, I will not use the word attached so much in the gross parlance, so to say, but I'm saying because mind works in such a way that to detach from something, it has to attach somewhere else. So, first we have to find a different source of happiness first before we can detach from those which we mistakenly understood as the source of happiness. Since this person has already detached himself from the mind, why detached from the mind? Because have already found the source of happiness, the ocean of bliss as the self itself. That's why the external expression of such a thing is that within such a person, desire stops to arise. Desires don't arise at all. When we see in the 54th verse, when Arjun asked the thing, Kim Prabhasheta? Now the Prabhashet word is actually the properties or the behavior of the senses, of speech, etc., the senses. So, when we see this is the what Prabhashet actually means what? How our senses will behave in different kinds of situation, and when a man of realization is presented with different kind of situations, how this man of realization senses react to such situation is what Arjun asked in the 54th verse as the word as Kim Prabhasheta. In the 56th verse, we should see in this context that Bhagwan said, Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, Sukheshu vigataspriha. In explanation of this, in the last session, we saw that the sukha and dukkha, which is the happiness and sorrow, actually arise in the life of a man of realization also. It's not that man of realization's life is free from sorrow and happiness. Then why did Bhagwan have to use this word Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, Sukheshu vigataspriha? This word, Bhagwan could have avoided this word, right? When Bhagwan is saying that Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha, Sukheshu vigataspriha, that means what? Bhagwan is highlighting that just because a man has become a man of realization, the man of firm faith in the self, firm abidance in the self, it's not that once he gains firm abidance in the self, sukha and dukkha, and happiness and sorrow will stop coming into the life of such a person. No, happiness and sorrow definitely comes into the life of a man of realization also. Means what? The source of these things coming into the life of everyone is actually our own prarabdha, our own karma. We need to understand this well, that in the context of happiness and sorrow coming into the life, there is no difference between a man of realization and a normal man. Now, need to listen to this very carefully. Don't misunderstand or misconstrue what I'm trying to say. I'm repeating myself for you to gain a clearer understanding. In the context of happiness and sorrow coming into the life, there is no difference between the life of a man of realization and the man of and the normal man, or who's not realized yet. Which now, why I said please listen to this carefully is that don't conclude here saying that if that is the case, then why should I grow spiritual? That's your foolishness. Don't get into that. That's why I'm saying listen to what I'm saying very clearly and patiently. Let me just complete what I'm trying to say. Please remember, self-knowledge or spiritual knowledge is not a cause or not a tool to change the situations coming into our life. Don't misunderstand that at all. For changing the situations in life, or changing the paristhiti or situation which comes in our life, the cause or tool is actually karma, action. Okay, understand this very clearly. If someone wants to change the situations in his life, then of course you need to concentrate towards changing your action. Why I'm saying please listen to me patiently and carefully. I have not completed this topic yet. Don't just hear till here and conclude something. Hear me completely what I'm trying to explain you through this verse. Why I'm going slow this way is so that you don't I don't leave any gap of misunderstanding anywhere. Sometimes what happens is when we explain certain things in spirituality, if we take only part meaning of this, there is a very high probability that we may misconstrue and misunderstand spirituality. Don't do that. I'm repeating myself. Spiritual knowledge or spiritual achievement is not a cause or tool to change the external situations coming into our life. This is why I said that in the context of situations coming in life, both a man of realization and a normal man is same. Okay, that doesn't mean that man of realization is not special. I'm not trying to show you, here in this context here. But why it is being said is, please remember very clearly, spiritual knowledge is not a tool or a cause to change the situations in our life. Why? I'm just, skipping some explanations to come to explain here. Some people misconstrue this point. I'm going to talk about in the next verse also this point, I'll bring it up. Some people say, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji, Bhagwan Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he was such a great spiritual master, or he was suffering from cancer. Then why should I do spirituality? Please remember, spirituality is not for treating your disease and all. It's not to change situations in your life. It is not the case. Like, I'm just giving you one example to just bypass things and explain you here. Just because you go and buy an expensive, luxurious car, that is not a cause or tool to change the road conditions outside. The road conditions will remain same, but it is definitely you buying a swanky, expensive, luxurious car. I'm not naming the brand so that it doesn't sound that I'm favorable to a brand, because people start misconstruing many things. So I'm not naming any particular brand that way. Just because you buy a swanky, expensive, luxurious car, it is not going to become a cause or tool of changing the road condition outside. The road will remain same. But in that road, in that same road condition which was there, just because you spend and invested your money, or spend your money, splurged your money to buy a swanky, expensive, luxurious car, your drive in that same road will become smooth. In the same way, because one gains spiritual stamina or spiritual knowledge, amongst those situations, your drive in the life, the road of life will become smooth, or the journey of life will become smooth. You will not be, too much impacted by the shocks which come up and down. You won't feel them at all. That is what spiritual stamina is all about. Excuse me. So, please understand, spiritual knowledge is not the cause or tool of changing situations around. Definitely, yes, when we grow spiritually, there is definitely one factor which helps us in terms of situation, that is the divine grace and blessings of Bhagwan and our Guru. That is definitely true. I'm not discounting that fact at all, and that helps. In the situations also it helps. But if you understand, just because I become spiritual, my external situations will suddenly become completely the other way around, that's not going to happen. Let's understand that very clearly. If you really want to concentrate and change your situations around, then the cause and tool for the same is your action. Now I'm coming to explain further that, so that you understand it in a much clearer way. If you really think, if you really want to generate favorable situations or desired results in your life, then you must concentrate on putting the right kind of action in place. You must create the right kind of actions in place, so that the desired result can be, it becomes achievable to you. Let me just say that way. But another thing we need to understand, and why I'm saying this, that if you really want certain result, then you should use the correct cause and tool for that, right? Don't expect a different cause and tool to help you in a different manner altogether. So if you really want certain desire, if you have desire for certain results, then you should concentrate your or focus your efforts to in that particular action itself, that particular thing itself. So remember one thing, many times people misconstrue this fact that I went to spirituality, so my life is the same, so let me drop spirituality. That is your very limited, or that is your lack of correct vision. That is your lack of focus. That is your lack of interest. It is a different thing altogether. You have not understood things correctly at all. So what is that what we need to understand here? When we let me just concentrate upon the action portion, because I said that action is the tool or cause of trying to create the situations, the desired situations in our life. But when we set out into action, we need to understand, behind the action, every action we do, there are two things which are in play behind every action we do. The two things which play is, sometimes when we act in the world, it could be according to the knowledge and understanding we have about things in life. See, that's besides the point. It may be complete or incomplete. I'm not talking about that. But our actions and sometimes come out of our knowledge and understanding of things in life. We act according to our understanding. But sometimes that alone is not the cause of our action. Sometimes our actions are actually sprouting out of our nature and habits also. So our actions usually sprout out, or our actions usually come out of two things in a combination. It can be different permutation and combination. One is the nature and habits acquired by us. The second is the knowledge and understanding acquired by us. Two things acquired by us combined and bring out action in us. Sometimes we see that in certain actions, and our knowledge and understanding takes a back seat, and our actions are primarily guided by our nature and habit. It primarily sprouts out of nature and habit. Sometimes in our actions, while doing our actions, our nature or habit takes a back seat, and sometimes knowledge and understanding takes a primary seat. Sometimes some is higher, someone is lower, but it becomes in a different permutation and combination. So then what do we need to understand from this is, we need to understand that our nature many a times is not in our control. Or many a times, actually I would say this way, many a times we are in control of our nature. Sometimes we are in control of the knowledge and understanding gathered. Now, having said that, why I brought it up here, which technically means what, which points us to what, before we set out into action, these two things can be improved, can be corrected. What can be improved and corrected? Our nature and habit can also be improved and corrected, and we can also put effort to acquire correct knowledge and understanding. Or if the knowledge and understanding gathered is incorrect, we can put effort to correct it. Both of them can be improved. If we can put concentrated effort to improve both, then it is guaranteed, or it is sure, that those will become helpful for us to actually create it or develop the favorable situation or desired situations in our life. This much we understand why I brought up in so much of detail here. If we can really work towards improving our nature and habit, remember, that is what spirituality is going to help you into. I'm going to come to that also. If we can really work towards improving our nature and habit, and also improving or correcting or acquiring correct knowledge and understanding, then remember one thing, it can definitely be fruitful or helpful in working towards creating desired situations and desired arena around us in life. Okay, now this much you understood, that the direct cause or sakshat hetu of situation is what? Karma. Now, what is the effect of satsang and spiritual knowledge here? Now, this is the point I wanted to bring out, why I elaborated it so much. Now, satsang or spiritual knowledge actually helps us focus our direction towards improving or correcting our natures and habit. Okay, and also helps us acquire correct knowledge or correct the knowledge and understanding which has already been acquired. Which means what? Technically, through this process of spiritual knowledge, we are trying to correct or improve the cause of our action. Remember, this is not what is, and I'm in any way I don't mean this way, that just because you improve your nature and habit, your situation is going to improve. I'm not telling you that at all. Just because you improve your knowledge, things are going to change completely. That's not what I'm saying. But yes, it can definitely help you to create a desired environment around you. That is definitely yes. So the nature and habit and the knowledge and understanding are actually indirect cause of creating desired or favorable situation around us. But as far as the knowledge of self is concerned, the spiritual knowledge is concerned, spiritual knowledge is neither the direct nor the indirect cause or reason of creating situations around you. Then what what does self knowledge or spiritual knowledge does? Spiritual knowledge and self knowledge works on a different arena altogether, at a different level altogether. Now, listen to this very carefully. Why I said, listen to me completely before, concluding into the understanding. What does spiritual knowledge do? The spiritual knowledge actually does one thing. It actually blocks, or it actually destroys the understanding, or destroys is the kind of situation we see around, or it says it proves that what we see around, including the situation, is mere appearance only. It is mithya. It actually negates, actually that is the word I was looking for, or actually the spiritual knowledge negates the situation. It actually tells us that the situations around us is mithya, is false. It is just a mere appearance. It has got no reality at all. When, after getting the spiritual knowledge, when a person looks at this world, looks at this appearance, then he starts to understand this appearance called world in its correct manner. That is what the reality, the realm of reality, or the realm of truth is all about. When this person is able to see that all the situation and things around me are mere appearance and they are not real at all, then tell me something. When this person has already seen it, why do you think this person is going to improve his nature, improve his understanding, or why will you think that this person is actually going to run after the thing which is false? Why will he actually concentrate or focus upon that thing? Why will he focus on those things which are unreal, when he can see it clearly that they are mere appearance alone? Then he will stop running after them. It's like the classy example which Vedanta gives is, a deer runs after water, which is actually desert mirage, only till the point the deer thinks that appearance to be true, that it is not desert mirage, it is water alone. Only when the understanding dawns that it is not it's not water what I am seeing, it is nothing but desert earth mirage appearing as water, then only the chase after that falsely appearing water will stop. So in the same way, this man of realization stops running after the things, because all the things in this world has already been negated in him. Rather, I will say this way. His beingness, jivatva itself is negated. When jivatva is negated, then Jagat also does not exist at all. Jiva and Jagat, goes together. What remains is the true, eternal, unbroken self is the only one which remains. Since his beingness is negated and destroyed, he is no longer chased after the things and objects which are mere appearance alone. For a true seeker, and between the true seeker and a man of realization, this is what the difference is. A true seeker, starts to develop dispassion by gaining the knowledge towards the object. He's trying to establish into that. In here, what Bhagavan is trying to say is, in the life of a man of realization, and also according to his past life's action, and both happiness and sorrow keep coming. They will keep coming. And remember, Bhagavan has used bahuvachan or plural for both dukkha and sukha. He used what? Dukkheshu, sukheshu. That means it's in plural. Now, another thing I wanted to highlight here, why Bhagwan used it plural, also that also we should see here. See, I told you in the last session itself, most of it I've explained in the last. There are some portions which I'll explain or take it up in the next session. That's what I'm trying to do now, so that we can complete this verse and move on. You see in one verse how much knowledge is hidden, how much material is hidden. It seems a very simple, four-quarter verse, but how much detail and data is inside that. Bhagwan has packed this verse. Only when you start seeing the depth, you will actually enjoy the depth also. So, why Bhagwan used Dukkeshu and Sukheshu, that also I need to highlight here. That means when sorrow also, it doesn't come in one piece as a whole. Sorrow is also broken. Sorrow will come, then happiness will come, then sorrow will come, then happiness will come. It's not that sorrow is a one continuous whole. It's not that happiness is also one continuous whole. It doesn't come as a one whole mass altogether. Since there is something to break them into pieces, there is difference between one another. It appears in sequence one after another. It's like a broken sequence. That is why Bhagwan has used the word Dukkeshu, sorrow in plural, and Sukheshu also in plural. Because it's not one piece which comes, it comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. There are many which comes and goes. It is different that, some people, the focus of some people is only on dukkha, they don't see it sukha. But remember one thing, there is no one in this creation who only gets dukkha and doesn't get sukha at all. That's besides the point. Some people only focus on the dukkha which comes into the sorrow which comes into their life, and they say, my life is completely sorrowful. I have no happiness at all, That is their own way to look at it. And some people, they don't look at that dukkha so much. They focus on happiness and they say, my life is completely happy. But remember, everybody's life is a pair. It comes in actually a pair of this opposite. That is why it is expressed in that way. Pair of opposite means what? One alone won't come to you. It will always follow one another. Dukkha comes means sukha is around the corner. If sorrow comes means happiness is around the corner. It's just a matter of time when this sorrow will end and happiness will start. Happiness means also, on the other hand, we should understand. Happiness means what? This happiness is also going to end. That means sorrow is around the corner. It is definitely going to come somewhere or the other. That's why it is not possible. If someone sees only sorrow, his life is completely sorrowful, that means he's completely lacked the vision of God's grace in his life. That means he's not able to see the grace of God, or that God has made the life in such a way that no one has complete sorrow in his life, no one has complete happiness also in his or her life. Come what may, you can look at any level. If we really see, that only sorrow we are seeing, that means there is something wrong in our vision. And if Bhagwan is saying Dukkeshu and Sukheshu, that means he wants to separate both of them by a separator, that remember, Dukkha and Sukha will follow each other continuously throughout the life, and no one is devoid of them. Even at the level of a man of realization also, there is no difference here. Where Bhagwan says, when Bhagwan is using in the term of a jnani here, Dukkeshu and Sukheshu, that means for a jnani or man of realization also, both sorrow and happiness are going to come. There is no difference in the life of a man of realization also at the level of this. Bhagwan made it very clear here that there is no difference at all. A situation will come according to our prarabdha, our past life action. But then what is the difference between a man of realization and a normal man? The difference is at the level of reaction of his inner equipment called antakarana. What is the effect that Sukha and Dukkha has on the inner equipment of a man of realization and a normal man is far different from each other. That is what the difference is all about. It is not about the situation. When Bhagwan says, as you know, Prabhashet, when Arjun asked Prabhashet, Arjun was asking this only. Bhagwan, how does this man of realization react in the outside world? Is the man of realization's reaction different? So probably, which means what? Arjun also may have understood that I don't see anybody different in this world in terms of the external bombardment of external situations on someone. It seems the same on everyone. So Arjun's question must also have been towards this, that Bhagwan, I really want to know how this man of realization reacts to the situations which are thrown at him by his own prarabdha karma, by his own past life or past actions. I want to know how, this man of realization reacts. Now remember, this is what Bhagwan needs highlighting here. Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha. His mind does not get perturbed, does not get shaken up by the sorrows which when it comes in the life of a man of realization. Means what? In the antakarana, in the inner equipment of a man of realization, the result called udvega, the result called being shaken up by the sorrows coming in the life, is not there at all. And this is the magic which spirituality does to, or the knowledge of the self or the realization of the self does, that it takes away the natural reaction of it completely dispenses away the natural reaction of the antakarana. Remember why I'm saying, using this word again and again, antakarana is also made of the mixture of 5 elements of this nature. And if that antakarana reaches a level that it completely is off the natural reactions, it itself is a big magic. It's a big wonder in itself. These two kind of reactions which a mind naturally does at the level of sorrow and happiness, that is no longer there. So yes, definitely yes, this man of realization's mind does not get shaken up by the sorrows coming into the life. Also, along with it, does not hanker over the pleasures or happiness coming in life also. Remember, that means what? It's not that after becoming a jnani, a man of realization, only sorrows will come. That is not possible. That's not going to happen. Please understand that. Some people see that, became a jnani, so what, he was sorrowful all after that time. That's not correct at all. That's a very, that's lack of sight of us, lack of understanding of us. Remember one thing, even the situations of happiness will come in the life of a man of realization also, but in the moment of happiness or the situations of happiness also, his antakarana, his inner equipment, does not run after or hold on to it or hanker over it, does not want to keep it, holding on to that thing, and doesn't desire that happiness should continue to come and sorrows move away from me. When we try to hold on to the happiness, why I'm saying that is, he doesn't hold on to that situation or object, do not hold on to that happiness. That holding on to that happiness is what Bhagwan mentions by the word spriha. So for such a man of realization, and when the sorrowful situation comes, his inner equipment doesn't put effort to throw it away from him, doesn't run after or put all required effort or all focus on to just throwing away that situation, and which is actually called udveg, doesn't do that also. And when the situations of happiness come, doesn't hold on to it also. These two kind of natural reactions, which usually our inner equipment gives, is not there in the jnani. Why it is not there? The reason Bhagwan gave for that is this man of realization is actually Vita Raga. Now, I have explained that in the last verse. I'm taking it a little bit different level of explanation today on this particular point. In the life of a seeker also, when knowledge starts to dawn, or when the knowledge of the nature, the creation, God, and the oneself starts to arise, and one starts to gain the understanding, the spiritual understanding, at that time, a seeker also comes across two kinds of situations. Many seekers come across that. What is that? One is some seeker starts to see hollowness in world and worldly things, and worldly chase of qualifications and things and all. The other thing a seeker can come across is doesn't see any kind of solution for his life situations and in the world. In these situations also, a seeker also becomes Vitaraga. Vitaraga means crosses over the kind of attachment. Raga means attachment here. Vitaraga means crosses over attachment. But remember, his attachment is not, his detachment or his Vairagya's dispassion is not complete because there is no strong reason or cause for it. Now, for a man of realization, why that dispassion is total and very, very strong? Because at the base of it is actually fulfillment. A seeker definitely out of knowledge starts to see hollowness in world and worldly chases of desire. Also sees that for his things, for his situation, there is no solution available in the world. He sees that he may get temporary kind of a dispassion. But remember, it is not total, it is not complete. Why? Because it's not arising out of fulfillment or contentment. For a man of realization, it is total and complete. Why? Because at the base of it or the cause of it is actually his fulfillment and contentment. Because he's become Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. Because he's become like that, he does not need anything in this creation. Remember, why I'm using anything in this creation is, this is where I will try to bring out the definition of mukti here. He doesn't desire for Swarga or heaven also. He doesn't desire for higher lokas also. That is why I said he doesn't desire anything. For a seeker, his dispassion comes out of the knowledge he has started to gain. And as he gains knowledge and he starts to consistently follow Karma Yoga, he starts to establish or starts to lead his life in the way of as expounded by Karma Yoga, he slowly, gradually, his dispassion starts to become stronger and stronger. He starts to gain dispassion. That is what Bhagavan said in the previous, in the few verses before. Tada gantasi nirvedam. In the 52nd verse, Bhagavan said, no, as the pinnacle of achievement of a man and who follows Karma Yoga, tada gantasi nirvedam. Goswami Tulsidas ji says, in his Ramcharitmanas, dharam te virati. He starts to get at, even dispassion towards the things which usually, normally he used to do also. It starts to get that there. It starts to arise in the life. For a jnani, for a man of realization, the dispassion or vairagya is of a completely different level altogether. He has got dispassion. Why? Because in him, the bliss of self is fully established. This man has already reached the level of enjoying the bliss of the supreme consciousness, the self. That's why his vairagya's dispassion is coming out of already gaining a higher level of bliss. Remember, happiness and bliss are two different things. They may be used interchangeably, but they're actually completely different thing altogether. Happiness comes and goes. We misuse this word. Misuse, I'm saying we use it wrongly, this word called bliss, that I'm in bliss. That doesn't mean that we are in bliss. Bliss is not a state which will come and go. Bliss means you are in bliss, it is a never ending phase altogether. Then you don't run after happiness. It's a higher level of happiness, a completely too much high level of happiness, so to say. So this man of realization's dispassion is arising out of his is reaching the source of bliss, source of happiness. He's gained a higher level of happiness. All those objects which are the objects to revel in for normal people, with the normal people thinking as the objects of reveling in, or objects to achieve, objects to gain, such objects and such situations and such things, a man of realization considers as a hindrance in his bliss. He considers it as a disturbing thing for his own level of bliss, which he's enjoying at that level. So, it is said by Goswami Tulsidas ji, ye sab Ram Bhagati ke badhak. They are obstructing factors of my bhakti towards, of my devotion towards Bhagwan Ram. Now remember, they both are termed as dispassion, but their cause and reason is completely different. Because their reason is different, that's why their level is also completely different. Now, since this man of realization does not have a raga or attachment, he's become Vita raga. That's why all other kinds of emotions and feelings have no place in him. Emotions and feelings mean all the other. When I say emotions, feeling, you don't coin it as, that means what man of realization is emotionless. No, that's not what I meant. In the next verse, I'm going to elaborate that also. That point also is going to come up. I'll elaborate there. All the further emotions and feelings which arise in our mind, all the different kind of thought modifications which arise in us, in our mind, they all actually sprout out of attachment which is there. Now remember that, huh? Without attachment, all those kind of thought modifications, when I say thought modifications, is krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Bhagavan himself is going to say, hey, bhaya and krodha, two things Bhagavan is also bringing up. Now, in the subject of attachment, and when the non-favorable situations arise in our life, when non-favorable situations arrive in our life, in the subject of subject of attachment, when non-favorable situations arise in our life, at that time the behavior or the reaction of our internal equipment is what is Bhagavan calling as udvega. Okay. Now, basing the first statement, what Bhagavan said in the first half of this verse, basing our entire conversation on that, we need to understand udvega, the kind of shaken up feeling which we have in our mind when non-favorable situation arise in our life. The main cause of that, the core reason for that is actually what? Our attachment only. When we see, when we do not know the real cause of it, what we do, we put the blame of such things on people, situation, and objects. We, point our fingers on them as the cause of our sorrow. Actually, please remember, they are not the real cause of our sorrow. Actually, at the core of the cause of our sorrow is nothing but our attachment alone. We think or we misconstrue that the sorrow full condition comes in our heart because of things, people and situations. But Bhagavan is completely negating that. Bhagavan is saying, in the reason for the shaken up feeling or the disturbance which happens in our mind, the reaction of disturbance which happens in our mind, the core or of the thing which is at the core of it is nothing but our attachment alone. And even the hankering which happens in our mind with the cause of happiness in our life, it can be object, people or thing, whatever. At that core also, the core or at that core of that also is nothing but our attachment alone. Now hearing this, we realize one thing. Our understanding till date of the cause and effect relationship of the things and situations around us was completely wrong. Isn't it? Bhagwan has completely negated that. Rag means what? Rag or attachment means what? Our thought process or our emotion to hold on or getting bound, getting attached to the source of our happiness is what is called raga, attachment. When we construe or we misunderstand or we assume things, situations, state, country, and all these things, or when we understand or misunderstand anything other than ourself, anything means anythings like objects, people, state, situation, country, time, and all these things which are outside ourselves as the source of our happiness, we see them as becoming the source of our happiness, then we start to base our we start to consider them as our thing to be dependent upon. We start to become dependent on them and for gaining happiness in our life. Now, more the dependency of us on them, the more will be our attachment. And then more will be the thought of holding on to such thing, holding on, hankering over such thing, it will become more and more. And more it is, more such thing in us is, the more will be the ability of that thing to create something called fear in us. Fear will be the quantum of fear or the amount of fear in us will be exactly equal to the amount or quantum of attachment we have to something. So the more attachment we have to something, the more it has got the capability. It can give us more quantum of fear also, and it can give us the same amount of more quantum of anger also in us. And when it becomes like that, such a thing of happiness will become one of the factor of us to hanker over. We will start chasing it, we will start holding on to it, we will start making every concentrated effort so that it is retained in our life. That is what is called spriha. Remember one thing, attachment does not become strong in one day. When we identify something as a source of our happiness, and we have accepted it as a source of our happiness, and then when we start to depend on it for our happiness, and as the dependence of happiness increases on that thing, situation or object, our attachment also starts to become strong. For seeker, here Bhagwan is giving an advice. In case you want to make your intellect firm, you want to gain sthirata in your prajna, you want to make your intellect strong in the subject of self, in the subject of the supreme consciousness, your own true self, then you must make an effort that both these things of udveg means the disturbance, and the spriha, hankering over, the feeling of hankering over, should not be there in your inner equipment or chitta. When there is lot of disturbance in our inner equipment, what happens at that time? When the sorrow is more, when we accept something as sorrow in a very high quantum, remember one thing, the inner equipment retains that understanding that this thing is a cause of my sorrow, and it will always retain the cause of the sorrow. It will retain the identification of the cause of sorrow. It is not going to forget it. Along with that, it will see the cause of sorrow as it will establish the cause of sorrow in something which is not actually the cause of sorrow. It will establish the cause of sorrow at actually a wrong place. Because it will establish the cause of sorrow at the wrong place. You know why? Just think of yourself. Whenever sorrow comes, the first thing we try to find is, because of whom did this sorrow come? Who is responsible for this? Is it actually so and so person? Is it actually such and such situation? Is it my graha nakshatra or my horoscope? We'll try to search for reason outside. We don't understand. We do not have the ability to think that actually the cause of sorrow is actually my attachment only. So what happens? It will start to portray the cause of sorrow in things which are at different things and objects and situations at wrong places, and it will create something called delusion in our mind. Bhagavan is saying, remember, the cause of sorrow is attachment, but where are you seeing the disturbance, the cause of disturbance in some person, some situation, etc., etc., etc. Why Bhagavan is highlighting this point? When our mind is disturbed, remember, please take it back and reflect on your own on this point. When our mind is disturbed, remember, we lose the ability to think. We lose the ability to reflect. The actually disturbance of our intellect and mind actually makes it incapable. Incapable of what? The following things are lost in such a kind of a intellect actually. It loses the ability to hold knowledge, dharana shakti. It loses the ability to create understanding, to retain what is gained. It loses the ability of patience. It loses the ability of courage. It loses the ability to independently think. It loses the ability of subtlety of understanding. All these things are lost from such an intellect which is affected by something called disturbance. Just think, whenever in life a situation has come and we are disturbed, have you ever been able to think correctly? No. Your inner equipment will lose its ability to actually think. Our goal is something, but at that time we lose all the ability in us to actually walk towards attaining that goal. It makes us completely incapable. Because of this is disturbance in our antakarana, there is always lot of disturbing thoughts going on one after another. It is always wavering. It is always completely packed up. It can't think rationally at all. And at that time, if you think that your intellect should get the ability to reflect, or you will reflect on what is being taught to you in spirituality, and you will be able to walk towards the spiritual knowledge and try to meditate and reflect upon them, then it is nothing but a daydreaming only. Good luck to you. Now, this is the point of udveg, means the disturbance which comes in the mind. Now let me take up spriha also. When the spriha, or when our mind wants to hanker over the source of happiness, what happens is a man comes in its way so much that many a times in its way man even does not do his or her duty also, loses focus from his or own duty also. Remember, the disturbance or udve is a thought, is a emotion or feeling which burns us. But this priha or this hankering thought sometimes makes us feel good also. Sometimes we like it also. Sometimes happiness appears through them, appears in it actually. But remember, slowly, gradually, fear also starts to mix with it. It starts to get mixed with fear also. And the fear which comes in us is, if I end up losing this source of happiness, then what's going to happen? To show such things only, our Puranas, Sanatana Dharma Puranas, like Bhagavad, etc., explain these things in a story form that, Indra, the king of heaven, starts to have fear that somebody is going to take up my position, somebody is going to take up my designation. Means what? That he has got the spriha for this post, right? And because of that spriha, because of that hankering or attachment to that, deep attachment to it, fear starts to arise that, if somebody takes away this position. And remember one thing, happiness and fear is something which goes hand in hand together. It's a mixed kind of a thing. Where you identify something as the source of happiness and you have got a deep attachment to it, trust me, I'm telling you, it will automatically start to give you the thought of fear. It is sure that if there is a serious seeker and he has got deep attachment towards the spiritual sciences and he really has got focused effort towards growing spiritually and wants to actually make his wisdom and the knowledge of the self firm in him, then this seeker must make effort on this direction and completely. He must devote his time and energy, and he must do sadhana over these two things, that he should avoid raga. He must do a sadhana on something called attachment or raga. To point out this thing only, in the second line of this particular, the second half of this verse, Bhagwan has said that, has given the cause of this unnatural reaction or above natural reaction of not getting perturbed or not getting disturbed by dukkha and not hanker over the source of happiness as vitaraga for such a serious seeker only. Remember one thing, why I am highlighting this? I told you everyone wants happiness. Happiness is everyone's basic requirement. And nobody can live without happiness. Happiness everyone wants. Because happiness is something which everyone wants, that's why dependency on the source of happiness also keeps appearing in our life. It keeps happening in our life. And the dependence on the source of happiness is what we differently call as raga, attachment. Now, then the question comes, how do we do sadhana on raga? How do we actually reflect on raga? How do we actually work towards eliminating in this attachment? How do we do that? Now, for that only, Bhagwan is showing the cause of that sadhana, that we have this choice. What is the choice we have? See, remember one thing, it all boils down to this fact, that what is the sadhana we can do on attachment, that how to escape from attachment and how to protect ourselves from attachment. That sadhana, that effort, that concentrated effort, sadhana, is what Bhagavan is saying, that the option we have is we must put an effort to choose our source of happiness. Why I said that? Source of happiness can be many and can be any also. Why I am highlighting this is that, remember, there are three kinds of source of happiness. Source of happiness can be tamasic also, lowest level source of happiness also, lower things also. Source of happiness can be rajasic also, means that mediocre or normal things which we do after. And source of happiness can be higher also, which we call sattvic also. So, for a sadhak, for a seeker, the biggest responsibility on a sadhak or a seeker is what? Must make an effort to make the choice of source of happiness well. We must choose our source of happiness well. We have lowest level of source of happiness also. We have higher level of source of happiness also. Now, what are the higher level of source of happiness? Let me highlight them first. Happiness derived out of meditation. Happiness derived out of japa, by chanting of name or reflecting on the name. Happiness derived out of Sandhya Vandan, by doing my Nitya Puja. There are 3 times Sandhya is advised for all Brahmanas. Happiness derived out of Satsang. Happiness derived out of spiritual teachings, what is meant. Happiness derived out of daily studying of scriptures. Happiness derived out of gaining knowledge, of gaining spiritual knowledge. These are called higher level of happiness. Remember, happiness is not only in, what do you call that, bhoga, in, enjoying or pleasure driving things. Happiness is not only there. Remember, now let me just come to different level of happiness also when I'm talking about the source. There is a kind of happiness in fulfilling one's duty also. If you really can think over it, you will realize that there is definitely happiness in actually doing and fulfilling one's duty also. There is happiness in expressing gratitude also. There is happiness in practicing self-control also. All these definitely have happiness hidden in them. Till the time we are living in the thought as a jiva, in jiv bhav, means till the time we are living our life as an experiencer, till that time a seeker is living as an experiencer, or his thought or understanding as an experiencer is not negated. Till that time a seeker must make an effort to start to revel in the higher source of happiness, or the sattvic source of happiness. In the 18th chapter, Bhagwan Krishna himself is going to bring in that point, And in the verse number 36 and 37, Bhagwan says, Yattat tadagre vishamiva pariname amrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam. He says, this is the choice we have. Bhagwan explains in the 18th chapter, 36th verse, about the sattvic source of happiness is what? The source of happiness which in the beginning does not look like it is going to give us happiness. Yatta tadagre vishamiva looks very difficult. Visham means it looks very, very difficult to us. Looks very difficult, does not suit my currently developed interest, so to say, is not according to my currently generated interest, so to say, does not seem to be a source of happiness initially to me, looks very difficult to me, I don't feel it so good in the initial way, and pariname amrutopamam, but at the end it is like amrita, it's like bliss giving to me. Initially it is very difficult to exercise, it is very difficult to follow, but at the end it is definitely going to be blissful to you. Bhagavan says, that is why in the 37th verse he says, Abhyasat ramate yatra dukkhantam cha nigacchati. Bhagavan himself says, we must make an effort to practice is such sources of happiness by making the correct choice in our life. Bhagavan brings down everything to what? Definitely man has been given complete freedom by God. Remember, I told you many times in my previous talks as well, previous sessions as well, it all depends what choices we make in life. The freedom of choice, Bhagwan has given us. When we live in a family, many a times we may not get that much freedom of choice from our parents, but Bhagwan doesn't function like that. He is given complete freedom to us. We can make the best choice also. You have a plethora of things available. If you really want to go down the drain, go. You are completely allowed. Nobody is going to stop you from that perspective. Except your own people, they are going to do that. Who are your well-wishers, they definitely do that. Bhagwan says, we as a seeker, or we must try to practice reveling or trying to enjoy those higher sources of happiness, because what? The ultimate achievement of such sources of happiness, of such choices are, Bhagwan says, Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. They are definitely going to get you the bliss of the self. They are going to get you Atma Buddhi as a prasada, as a gift, as a return, and as a result, it's definitely going to give you an intellect which is going to start understanding the self, start knowing the self, Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. Now remember one thing, such sources of happiness are definitely there. Such sources of happiness are there available for us. On the other side, these things definitely will give you happiness. Initially, it may seem difficult, Vishamiva. Initially, these sources of happiness, seems very difficult to walk. They seem that, they may not be according to our interest, so to say. But on the other hand, but the fact is, they definitely give happiness. If you can walk towards it, trust me, I'm telling you, I'm guaranteeing you this fact. If you can slowly, gradually practice towards it, trust me, it will definitely, surely give you happiness on one side. On the other hand, it will also become helpful in your walk towards your spiritual self, in your walk towards the supreme consciousness. It will definitely be helpful for your vertical growth. It will definitely become helpful, on the other hand, for your spiritual development. It is definitely not going to create any obstacle for you. Such happiness, instead of becoming an obstacle, will actually help you in your journey towards the self, help you in your journey towards knowing you. If one person starts to gain the happiness of meditation, and remember, on one side, his need of happiness is getting fulfilled, and on the other side, it is also going to become a cause or tool for a spiritual progress. When we start to do study of scriptures, swadhyay of scriptures, there is definitely a happiness which comes from there. There is definitely a happiness which comes from spiritual teachings also, attending satsang, attending spiritual teachings and all. Higher levels of literature also, higher level of literature also gives you happiness. The higher level of music also gives you happiness. There is happiness in gaining knowledge also. There is happiness in our intellect becoming subtle also. There is happiness when we start to understand the subtle things in life also. There is a happiness which arrives is when we start to grasp the minute secrets of this entire creation and behavior of people also. All these kind of happiness are higher levels of happiness we talk about. When we adopt such kind of source of happiness, as trust me, we have already contributed towards our spiritual development. The people who adopt or accept up to such kind sources of happiness in their life, they may be very minuscule in number, but definitely such people are existing in this world. These look like the sources of happiness. That's why these look like the sources of happiness for such people who revel in them. Initially, they may not look like the source of happiness. That is why we have to put a concentrated effort to practice them in such a way, in this manner. For a man of realization, the Vitaraga which Bhagavan talks about is different than the Vitaraga or moving away or giving up of attachment of a seeker. The level of achievement of a seeker, even though from the word they both sound the same, Vitaraga, that crossing over the attachment, the crossing over of attachment of a man of realization is quite different from the crossing over of attachment of a seeker. For a seeker, his crossing over of attachment happens as a fruition of his karma yoga buddhi, which Bhagavan spoke about in the verses up to 52, as the result of gaining that. And when a person reaches a level of fruition of his karma yoga buddhi, that's when, and such a person, such a seeker, starts to cross over all kind of attachment, and his focus starts to become on the what gives happiness to Bhagwan, what gives happiness to God. He starts running after those action which gives happiness to Bhagwan, which gives me love of God, which makes me attain the love of God, and he doesn't run after those things which does not give happiness to Bhagwan. So he will look forward for what gives happiness to God rather than what gives happiness to him. And those things which give happiness to God, this person will chase them, will put effort towards them, and those things which does not give happiness to God, this person will start to give them up. Remember, he will not do things, or he will not run after things for or which gives happiness to him. Okay, his focus has become God now. He will keep God's happiness above his own. That is why this person is able to grow spiritually. And that is why this person does not fall into the bracket of the other kind of thought modifications which happen because of attachment, so to say. By any way, a seeker must make an effort to create such a situation and for his inner equipment where he is able to not get disturbed by dukkha, by sorrow, and does not hanker over the sources of happiness When this thing is established, that is when a sadhak or a seeker starts to gain the benefits of the spiritual knowledge, so to say. That is why for a seeker, Bhagwan in this chapter itself, in the 14th verse, used this word, no? Tans titikshasva bharata. Arjun, as for a seeker must practice for this dukkeshu anudvignamana sukheshu vigataspa. Seeker, Bhagwan gave what advice in the 14th verse? Bhagwan said, Tans titikshasva bharata. For the pair of opposites which come into your life, don't get disturbed by them. Rather, develop endurance for them. Develop the capability to bear them. Develop the capability to forbear them. Because by the contact of when in the world, whenever there is a contact of our senses with the objects outside, with that contact, so both sorrow and happiness will definitely arise. So, hey Arjun, you must develop the ability of titiksha, of endurance, of forbearance. And in the further verses, Bhagwan said, Sama dukkha sukham dhiram swamritatvaya kalpate. Those people who are able to, maintain their courage in both happiness and sorrow, they are able to maintain equanimity in their happiness and sorrow. They are the only ones who are capable of gaining the immortal knowledge, amritatva. They are able to, they become capable for gaining that immortality. These two are the kind of advices which Bhagwan has given for seekers in the previous verses. One is, one must, for a seeker, one must practice karma yoga with complete, focus, with consistency and complete focus. Must practice karma yoga. And the second is, must take refuge in endurance or developing endurance in oneself. We must give importance to this ability to have endurance in our life. And then when we practice it slowly, gradually, our inner equipment starts to become equanimous in such things. And in further, Bhagwan talks about a different state of a jnani in the coming verse, so to say, in the 57th verse. I would also want to, before I go to the 57th verse, I will also want to read one portion which Pujya Gurudev mentions in his commentary in the Holy Gita. He says here, in describing the attributes of a perfect sage, having explained that he is the one who has come to sacrifice all his petty desires in his self-discovered self-satisfaction in the self, Krishna explains that another characteristic by which we can and recognize a sage is his equanimity in pleasure and pain. If in the last stanza, Bhagwan Krishna considered man as an actor, herein he is considering him as an experiencer, a bearer of body affliction. The one who is a stable being, whose heart is undisturbed in sorrow or joy, whose unattached, fearless and sans anger, free of anger, is described here as a muni, a silent sage. About the emotions that must be absent in an individual who is a master in all situations, we are here pointedly told only attachment raga, fear bhaya, and anger krodha. He explains further that when we read this, we think that maybe Bhagwan has missed out on the other kind of emotions, but that's not it. Actually, Bhagwan has packed all the different kind of thought modifications in these kind of emotions in itself. Now we'll move to verse number 57 and what Bhagwan says. Yas sarvatrana bhisneha tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita. Yas sarvatrana bhisneha tat tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita. Beautiful verse. Here Bhagwan has packed in this verse many facets of a Mahatma, continuing from the last two verses. Bhagwan at the end of this verse, or the fourth quarter of this verse, says, Tasya prajna pratisthita. Hey Arjun, I am going to call all, the intellect or the wisdom of the self or the knowledge of the self of such a man stable or completely firm in itself, who's what? Then Bhagwan gives certain properties here. I want you to underline in the different things Bhagwan is saying. Three things Bhagwan points out here. The first thing Bhagwan brings out as a property or a quality of such a man of realization is Yaha Sarvatra Anabhisneha. The one who is free of love for anything in this creation. I'm saying anything. Now I told you such verses you understand in a little bit detail. Don't misconstrue any verse at all. I'm going to explain. Bhagwan Bhashyakar in his explanation says is, Sarvatra Deha Jivitadishu Api. There are two things which we all have love towards. Those things which nourishes our life and those things which nourishes our body. Things means things, objects and situations. Okay. Whatever is the cause of nourishment of my body and my life, all of us have this thing called abhisneha for such a thing. Abhisneha means we have deep kind of love, deep attachment bound love for such a thing. Abhisneha means that, okay? But such a man of realization has got anabhisneha for such things also. Even for the things which are the cause or tool of nourishment of my body and my life also, this man of realization does not have got a deep sense of attachment based love for such things. For those things on which our body is dependent for his daily needs. I'm talking about them. In those things also, this man of realization does not have deep kind of a love for them. Does not have got a special love for them is the word abhisneha. Special love for them. I'm coming to that point. I'll explain you love also and the special love also here. But let's take this further and then we'll see how much we can cover today and then we'll take the remaining later on in the next session. When this man of realization does not have a sense of love towards those things which are the source or tool of nourishment of his body and life also, on whom his body and life is dependent for his continuation also, if this man of realization doesn't have a love for such things also, then what to talk about other things, objects and situations of the world? This Mahatma, this man of realization, does not have any kind of special love or deep love for them. Special love I'm using for a purpose also. See, when we read these verses, we have to understand we should not misconstrue a man of realization as a completely loveless, as a dry kind of a human being who does not have any kind of emotion at all. No, please don't misconstrue that. That is the reason I said when I explain these verses, without hearing the complete explanation, don't form or create an understanding. Listen patiently to the entire verse first before creating an understanding. This man of realization, even those things which support his bodily and life needs also, this man of realization does not have got love for them at all. Even those things which help, support, treat also, towards them also, this man of realization does not have any kind of a special love or attachment based love for such people or such things and people also. So, Puja Gurudev in his commentary explains the literal meaning. He who is everywhere without attachment, on meeting with anything good or bad, who neither rejoices nor hates, his wisdom is fixed. The wisdom being fixed is what is called prajna pratisthita. So, that's the first thing which Bhagwan says, that, this person does not have any kind of deep sense of attachment based love towards anything, not even towards those things which support his life and his body also. Does not have. That's the first thing which Bhagwan said. So the first condition, first quality which Bhagwan mentioned was sarvatra anabhisneha. The second thing which Bhagwan mentioned in the first half of this verse is that in our life, two kinds of situations come in our life. One which is Shubha, auspicious, the other which is Ashubha, which is inauspicious. In the life of a man of realization also, both these situations come. Auspicious also, inauspicious also. Now, here is what I want to differentiate. The thought process of the society is very different actually. See, it is not complete, it's not correct also. They feel amazed, they feel astonished by the fact, they feel it is quite strange. They feel it is a strange thing that, a man of realization also falls sick. I told you a few minutes before while explaining the previous verse, I told you I am going to come into here in explaining in the next verse, is that Bhagwan Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Saint Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he was suffering from cancer. Now, people say he is a man of realization. What kind of a man of realization is if he could not cure his treatment? You think that the spiritual knowledge is going to be helpful in treating your disease? Are people who are man of realization, they did this so that they get the ability to treat their disease or create favorable situations in their life? Then you are mistaken. You have a completely incorrect understanding of the things in life. Many people consider spirituality as one of the tool, one of the thing to improve the situations in their life. They think that it is one of the thing to actually cure them of their disease. I'm sorry, it's not. So some people then they'll give a completely different thought process altogether. If it can't cure the disease, then why should I do it? That means you were so selfish. You wanted even spirituality for your own selfish objective. Please remember, those situation, things and surroundings will be coming in our life according to our own prarabdha. Many people think that way because many people are in deep love with their body. They are deha premi. They do day and night. They are devoted towards their body. For them, the purpose and the reason of them doing spiritual endeavors, they're doing spiritual things, they're doing spiritual study, attending spiritual satsang, is not moksha, is not mukti, not freeing themselves from the cycle of birth and death. Rather than it is actually to cure them of their disease and create wonderful situations around them which are favorable. Remember, Bhagwan from this verse is pointing out to us that in the life of a man of realization, according to his prarabdha, auspicious situations will also come. It's not that once he becomes a man of realization, only inauspicious things will come, because now auspicious things are not needed by him. I tell you, some people asked me, why can't a man of realization give his auspicious situation to those who are in need? That means Jnani doesn't contribute. Are you fool to even say that? Can you give your situation to someone? Remember, a man of realization is full of compassion towards the society. Doesn't expect anything while giving it to you. Whether those who give also, those who don't give also, he unparalleledly gives back to them. That is different. That some people feel like giving Some even after seeing others giving also don't feel like giving. That's very strange of the society to do. Those people are selfish. A Mahatma, a man of realization, a saint, so to say, is a completely different level altogether. In the life of a man of realization, favorable situations will also come. Favorable means auspicious situations will also come according to his prarabdha, and inauspicious situations will also come according to his prarabdha. But the most amazing fact is, a man of realization, which is what Bhagavan said in the third quarter of this verse. Bhagavan says, Na abhinandati, na dveshti. The beauty and the wonder of this man of realization is, when auspicious situation comes in the life of a man of realization, he doesn't engage too much in welcoming that situation. And when inauspicious situations are reached, come in his life, this person does not generate hatred for them also, na dveshti, does not have aversion for them also. When an auspicious situation comes in our life, the natural reaction towards that is what? That we welcome such auspicious situation. Oh, so and so came, welcome, we celebrate and all those things. By its arrival, our inner equipment, man, buddhi, chitta and ahankar, becomes happy, starts deriving happiness. And when inauspicious situations come in our life, the natural reaction towards them is aversion or hatred. The natural reaction which our inner equipment and mind, ego, intellect and memory runs to do is, they want to separate itself, they want to distance itself from that. They generate a desire to distance itself from that. Now Bhagavan is saying, for the man of realization, at the level of inner equipment of a man of realization, Bhagavan said three things here. First, he is sarvatra anabhisneha. He remains at a state of sarvatra anabhisneha. That's the first thing which Bhagavan said. That's the first property Bhagavan said. The second property Bhagavan said is, at the time when auspicious situations arrive in the life of such a person, such a man of realization, he doesn't overtly rejoice in them. He doesn't, overtly gets engaged to welcome them and celebrate in that. And third thing he said is, when an inauspicious situation comes in the life of such a man of realization, he does not generate aversion towards them. He does not generate hatred towards them. A man who has got such a level of inner equipment, for such a man, Bhagavan says, his wisdom is fixed. His prajna pratisthita. Now people says, this is a very, very unnatural thing. It is completely absurd. It's a very absurd state altogether. But remember, it's a completely unnatural state. It's a completely absurd state altogether. Now let me ask you a question. According to our scriptures, being natural is not a very respectable thing. It's not a very, what you call that, a celebrating thing according to our scriptures. Remember, remaining normally or according to the nature definitely is not something which is too much, brought up, so to say, to, praise, too much praiseworthy, so to say. More than and remaining natural, leading a life according to what our scripture guides is a bigger thing. Bigger thing is our sadhana, our effort put in that, consistent effort put in that direction to evolve spiritually. In Sanskrit, prakrit word is used as an insult actually, to actually bring out the limitation actually of someone. It's not a praiseworthy word. Bhagavan says, Jnani he always lives with the thought of sarvatra anabhisneha, which technically brings us a question. Does that mean that a man of realization is devoid of love? Remember, now this is a point I want to highlight. I've taken this session of today's a little longer because I wanted to at least do the justice of explaining this verse in some way so that you don't misconstrue with the half meaning and go. I want to bring to here before I complete the session for today. The question which arises when Bhagwan says Sarvatra Anabhisneha, this is a thought which a man of realization lives his life with. Does that actually mean that a man of realization is devoid of love in his life? If please remember, please pay attention. Actual love is that only. Now I'm bringing it why? Let me just explain you. Rest all kinds of love are only exchange, give and take alone. This is what is actual love all about. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Ji, Srimad Bhagavad Ji, through the description of gopis is of Vrindavan, gopis of Vrindavan and highlights about 4 kinds of love. I want to highlight this before I complete the session for today. Gopis of Vrindavan spoke about 4 kinds of lovers. The first kind of lovers are those who give love in the exchange of love. One who gives love, they give love to them. That's called exchange of love. They give love in exchange of, they give their love in exchange of the love given to them. That's the first kind of lovers. The second kind of lovers are those who love them, who don't love them also. The third kind of lovers are those who don't even love them, who love of those people. Means who don't even love those people who give love to them. That's the third kind of lovers. The fourth kind of lovers gopis talk about is them who does not love anyone. Does not love anyone doesn't mean doesn't have love at all. Means that does not give special love to anyone. I think I'll take few minutes more and explain this a little bit more before I complete the session today. I know it's a little longer. It's coming after a little bit time also. Let it be. It's a Guru Purnima episode. So I'm sure you all can bear with the little extra time of the episode. Bhagwan says, the ones who give love in exchange of love are businessmen actually. They are not lovers. And the world is normally full of such kind of lovers who give love in exchange of love. Means who will love only those who love them. Because, remember one thing, why the world is full of such people also? Actually, the fact is everyone needs love. Everyone needs that somebody should consider me as their own. Somebody should adopt me as their own. Somebody should consider me as their own person, as somebody who's friend to them. Everybody wants that. With this give and take love, definitely life moves on, but life continues with such kind of a love. And I told you the world is full of such people. But remember, such love cannot give you total kind of a happiness. It cannot give you happiness forever. The second kind of love which gopis talk about are of people called Suhrud, well-wishers. Well-wishers love towards people are that they love people, they love those who they really wish well for, even if in exchange or return those people don't love them also, still they give love. And such people who will fall under that category are, the people who fall under that category are actually 4 of them. One is mother, our own mother, our father, our guru, and all different saints and realized masters in our society. They fall in this bracket that because they have compassion towards them, that's why even if a person doesn't love them also, they still give love to them. It is out of compassion. That's the third kind of love. The second kind of love I'm talking about, Second kind of love is for those who give love to those also who don't even give them love. So I told you the four kind of people who fall in the second category are our mother, father, our father, guru, and the saints in the society who are there to bless the society, who are there for the as a well-wisher of the society. The third kind of lovers are actually that ungrateful people, kritagna. Those who don't even give love to those who love them also. They don't love them also. They are completely selfish. They are really lower level people, really fallen kind of a people they are. Of course, they are building their own prarabdha, that's a different thing. Their own building their own karma phala, that's a different thing altogether. The fourth category, the fourth category of lovers are who does not love anyone. Actually, that category, the first one to go into that category is actually the Supreme Consciousness, Paramatma. Remember, Paramatma doesn't give, see, you have to understand in its real and construct also. Paramatma doesn't love any one specific, means doesn't have special love for one person. He has common love for everyone. Common love means he wishes well for everyone. He wants good for everyone. Sabka hit chahta hai. He wants to do good for everyone. He will always do good for everyone. Whether he loves or not, but he will definitely do good for everyone. Whatever is good for everyone, he'll definitely do. Remember, in that category where I'm giving you Paramatma, let me just give you the example from Srimad Bhagavad also. If Bhagwan Krishna loved gopis, that was also for the benefit of gopis. And if he went away from gopis, that was also for the benefit of gopis. God, comes close to us, moves away from us, sukh, dukh, and whatever leela he does, actually all that is for our supreme good only. And that Bhagwan has himself said from his own mouth. He said that. Why it is? Because so that he does it so that his objective is only one. He does all these things so that our intellect gains purity, so that our intellect gains the capability to understand him and walk towards realizing him. In the same fourth category, Bhagwan has placed through this verse number 57 a realized master, a guru also. Those who revel in the self also. They are always indifferent. Why? They are indifferent means it does not matter to them who comes to them and who goes away from them. It makes no difference to him. It does not matter to him if people come to him with love, understands him, and gains from him. It does not matter to him if people misunderstands him and goes far from him because of their own misunderstanding. I keep saying this word in many of my classes. Remember, with me, I live this thing, what has been taught to me by my guru. If someone misunderstands me, I never make an effort to correct their understanding, because your misunderstanding is your problem, not mine. If you come and ask me, if you come to me and want to clarify your misunderstanding, I'll surely help you. But if you just misunderstand and walk away, too good for you, good luck to you. It's completely up to you. I never force anyone to be, with me, or I never force anyone away from me also. People come and go on their own according to their own level and understanding and misunderstanding. Bhagwan says, even though this is realized master is udasin, he is what? Sarva bhuta hite rataha. Out of compassion, he does good for everyone. Rest we will see in the next session. There's more to it, but we'll see in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. ओम तत्सत्.